All right, so your test is going to be on sections 1.1, 1.3, and 1.4. So the first part is going to be evaluating the expression. Here we just use PEMDAS. So what's the first thing we're going to do here? What's the first thing we need to do here?
Parentheses.
Parentheses. So we have a parentheses inside of a parentheses, and we need to work inside out. So we start with our most inside parentheses. So this becomes a 5. So we have 14 minus 5 divided by, and we can do these parentheses out here too. So 2 plus 1 is 3. Next, we need to do the parentheses again. So we have 14 minus 5 would be 9. And now we have 9 divided by 3, which is 3. Any questions? All right, what do we do first here?
Parentheses.
Parentheses. So we're going to do these parentheses and these parentheses first. So we have 8 minus 2 is 6 divided by 3 minus 2, which is 1. What I would suggest for these questions is writing down every step of the way. I know it's a lot of work to write down each step, especially something that you can do in your head, but a lot of people made silly mistakes on the quiz with these. All you're doing is PEMDAS. The rest is pretty simple. We all know what 1 times 6 is. That's 6. So you have 6 divided by 6. What's 6 divided by 6? 1. So the math here isn't too tricky. We just need to know our PEMDAS. Number 3. What do we do first?
Multiplication.
Multiplication. 6 times 4 is 24, plus 5 minus 1. Now that we have addition and subtraction left, we just work from left to right. So 24 plus 5 is 29, plus 5 minus 1. 29 plus 5 is 34, minus 1, and 34 minus 1 is 33. Any questions here?
Did it different.
How did you do it?
I combined the 5 plus 5, which gave me 10. But I think I still got the same answer, which gave me 10. And then I added it together with the 24, then I minus the 1.
Yep, you can do it that way too. Either way works. If you can see that 5 plus 5 is 10, and then you can just add 10 to 24 and then subtract 1. That definitely works too. Number 4, what do we need to do first? Parentheses. So we work inside out with our parentheses. So 5 minus 5 is what?
0.
0. So we have 1 minus 0. What's 1 minus 0?
1.
1. And then we just add 3 plus 3 is 6 minus 1, so our answer is 5. All right, any questions about this first part? Any questions on PEMDAS? All right. Again, for this next section, we're using PEMDAS, but we are plugging in our variables. So we need to plug in our x and plug in our y. So we plug in 3 for x and 1 for y. And then we just solve. So here we only have addition and subtraction, so we're just going to go left to right. 3 minus 1 is 2. 2 plus 3 is 5. And 5 plus 1 is 6.
if you have it, like, the way I seen it, I did it differently also.
Did you get the same answer?
Yes.
Yep, so you can do it differently. If you wanted to add these two together, just if you're not going from left to right, just make sure you are careful with your signs. So you just don't want to mix up your adding and subtracting. So you just have to be careful if you're not moving from left to right. But you could definitely solve it either way. All right, here, we're going to plug in our numbers first. So we have 2 squared minus 4 minus 1. What do we do first here?
To parentheses.
Parentheses. The P stands for parentheses. We always do parentheses first. So we have 2 squared minus 4 minus 1 is 3. Next, we need to do our exponent. What's 2 squared?
4.
4. So then we get 4 minus 3, which is 1. Any questions? All right, 7. We need to plug in first. So we have 4 plus 3 plus 4 minus 1 minus 4. So I'm going to go from left to right. But as Winchell said, he does it differently. So if you do it differently, you can. If we see that we have a plus 4 and a minus 4, they cancel out. But I'm just going to go left to right. So we have 4 plus 3 would be 7. 7 plus 4 is 11. 11 minus 1 is 10. And 10 minus 4 is 6. Any questions on this one? All right, number 8. So first thing, we need to plug in all of our numbers. So we plug in 1 for P, 2 for Q, 2 for Q, and 1 for M. What do we do first here?
Parentheses.
Parentheses. So 1 plus 2 is 3, squared plus 2 minus 1. Next, we need to do our exponent. What is 3 squared?
$27.
Remember, this is 3 times 3. What's 3 times 3?
9.
9. So we have 9 plus 2 minus 1. 9 plus 2 is 11, and 11 minus 1 is 10. Any questions from the first page? So we kind of got lucky here with these examples that we weren't plugging in any negative numbers. But remember, when you plug in negative numbers, it always helps to keep it in parentheses when you plug it in. That way you don't mix up your sign. So if we had, let's say, 1 minus x when x is equal to 2, let's say negative 2 because we're practicing negative numbers. So when plugging in this negative 2 into this equation, we need to make sure we keep it in a parenthesis so we don't mix up our signs. Because then we can see we have a 1 minus a negative 2, which makes this a big plus sign, so this would become 3. So just a little example there. So whenever you plug in negative numbers, it's best to keep it in parentheses so you can see your problem more clearly. I think the most common mistake on the quiz was mixing up signs. All right, let's take a look at number 9. So here we're solving the equation, so we need to get our variable all by itself. So for these, we do PEMDAS, but in reverse. So we start with addition and subtraction, then move to multiplication and division, and then do parentheses and exponents. So, what do we do first here?
sides.
Add 5 on both sides. So we get 8a is equal to 90. Now what do we do?
And we divide 8 on both sides.
Perfect. Since a is being multiplied by that 8, to get rid of it, we do the inverse, which is division. So we get a is equal to 90 over 8. Now, in case this is a multiple choice question and our multiple choice answers are in simplest form, we need to simplify this. So we know that 2 goes into both of these because they're both even numbers, so we can divide the top and the bottom by 2. So we would get 45 over 4, and this is as much as we can simplify. So our answer would be 45 over 4. So if it's multiple choice, your answers are going to be in simplest form. Number 10. Here we have an absolute value. What do we need to do to get rid of that absolute value? Split it. So we have 7b plus 8 is equal to 55, and 7b plus 8 is equal to negative 55. How do we solve for b in our first equation? What do we need to do to solve for b? Subtract 8. So we have 7b is equal to 55 minus 8, which is 47. And then we divide both sides by 7. So b is equal to 47 over 7. We can't simplify this anymore. For our second equation, we do the same thing. We subtract 8 on both sides. So we get 7b is equal to negative 55 minus 8, which is negative 63. So remember, when you have two negative numbers together, you add the 2 and keep the sign. So negative 55 minus 8 would be negative 63. Now we divide both sides by 7. So b is equal to negative 9. Any questions here? All right, let's look at 11. Now we go to our second equation. Again, we add 4 to both sides. So we get 5x is equal to, what is negative 1 plus 4?
Positive 3.
Positive 3. Then we divide 5 on both sides, and we get x is equal to 3 over 5. And we can't simplify that anymore, so we just leave it like that. All right, number 12. What do we do first? Split it. 3n minus 10 is equal to positive 22. 3n minus 10 is equal to negative 22. Add 10 to both sides. So 3n is equal to 32. Divide both sides by 3. N is equal to 32 over 3. We do the same.
If we divide it or on the test, do we have to leave it as a fraction?
It'll be specific and ask you. It'll say like leave your answer as a fraction. So I think I'm going to try to make the test where it's mostly whole numbers. If not, it'll be like 1/2 if it's not a whole number or something like that. So I won't put these awful numbers on it. On the next equation, we add 10, so we have 3n is equal to negative 12. We divide both sides by 3, so n is equal to negative 4. Any questions? Okay, 13. We're almost done, guys. What do we need to do to solve for v? Before we divide, what should we do first? Subtract 2. So remember, when we're solving for a variable, we have to do PEMDAS, but backwards. So we subtract first. We have 3v is equal to 16. We divide both sides by 3, so v is equal to 16 over 3. So if there are fractions on the test, I'll say just leave it in improper fraction form. So you just leave it like this. Okay, next we have 14. What should we do first?
Divide.
We can divide, and I know in all the examples we've done, I divide the 4 over first, but if I divide the 4, I see that this is not going to be a whole number, and I don't really want to work with fractions right off the bat. So I'm going to hold off on dividing. What's another option we can do first? Distribute. So here I feel like it'll be better to distribute just so I don't have to work with fractions right away. So 4 times negative 3n would be negative 12n. 4 times 9 is 36. That's equal to 33. Now what do I do to get n all by itself?
Subtract it.
Perfect. Subtract 36. So negative 12n is equal to negative 3. And then I divide both sides by negative 12. What is negative 3 divided by negative 12?
Positive 4.
Remember that the 12, the bigger number, is on the bottom. So if we simplify this, it would be 3 over 12, right? Because the negatives cancel each other out. And then we can simplify this by dividing the top and the bottom by 3. So this would be 1 over 4. So you just got to be careful with that because we're dividing the bigger number on the bottom, so it's going to be a fraction. Any questions here? All right. Let's look at 15. What should we do first?
Add 7 to both sides.
Perfect. We add 7 to both sides. So we get negative 4. A plus 2 is equal to negative 4. Now here we can either distribute or divide. I see that I have a negative 4 and a negative 4, so I feel like it'll just be better to divide first instead of distributing. So our negative 4's cancel out. We have A plus 2. What is negative 4 divided by negative 4? Positive 1. And then we just subtract 2 on both sides. We get A is equal to negative 1. What should we do first?
Add 10 on both sides.
Perfect. Add 10 on both sides. So we have negative 7 times the absolute value of n over 3 is equal to negative 21. Now we divide both sides by negative 7. So we get the absolute value of n over 3 is equal to 3. How do I get rid of my absolute value? What do I need to do next? Split it. So we have n over 3 is equal to positive 3, and n over 3 is equal to negative 3. We multiply both sides by 3 to get that 3 out of our denominator, so we have n is equal to 9. And then we do the same thing in our other equation. We have n is equal to negative 9. So our two answers are 9 and negative 9. So always when it's absolute value, you will get two answers. Again, we have absolute value for 17. What should we do first? Come on, guys.
Plus 6.
Perfect. Plus 6. I'm glad Winchell knows what he's doing. So we have 3r minus 9 is equal to, 6's cancel out, 27 plus 6 is 33. Now I can divide 3 on both sides, so r minus 9 is equal to 11. To get rid of our absolute value, we split it. So r minus 9 is equal to 11, and r minus 9 is equal to negative 11. We just add 9 to both sides, so r is equal to 20, and r is equal to negative 2. Any questions on this one? All right, we have one last one. Thank goodness. So we're solving for A. I'm going to subtract 8 on both sides because this 8 is being added. So to get rid of it, I need to subtract. So I have 2 times 2A is equal to 12 minus 8 is 4. I can multiply these two 2's together to give me 4A is equal to 4, and then just divide both sides by 4. So A is equal to 1. So that's a good question. We have a negative divided by a negative. So remember, two negatives make a positive. So this would be positive 3. So a negative divided by a negative gives us a positive number, and then we would take the absolute value and get a positive number, which is what we're looking for. We cannot take the absolute value and get a negative number. So excellent question.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. So you can't take the absolute value and get a negative number, so it would be no solution.